What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Nehemiah, aka Neil, and today we're going to be talking about my top five teams in the West. Now, there's going to be a really big difference between the West and the East, and that's because I have a lot more teams on the West, but I don't think that all these teams are going to stack up to the very top, which is why I'm going to, just blitz through some of these teams. Some of the teams over here, I already have five from the New Orleans Pelicans to the Clippers, so I just want to talk about some of the mentions. So, this would have been an honorable mention if they were good. The Lakers aren't good. They won't be good this year. And for people who are acting like they will be, stop it. So then we have the Dallas Mavericks. The reason why they didn't make the top five, in my opinion, is because I just don't think that this roster still has enough to really contend at the top. I think that their floor is probably better than even the New Orleans Pelicans, the not Phoenix Suns, the Minnesota Timberwolves, maybe even the Memphis Grizzlies, and maybe even the Denver Nuggets. However, the biggest problem with this team is I think that their ceiling is probably the lowest out of every team that we've seen, even maybe the Lakers. So I just think that even though they did get Christian Wood, really good addition. I think that Spencer Dinwiddie, if he could turn it around, he'd be a really solid addition. I just don't know. I think that this team is still relying on Luka way too much. So we'll just keep it with that. So I really did want to decide on whether or not I wanted to put the Minnesota Timberwolves in the top five, only because they just have a really solid roster. I really do think so. I think that they have at least a roster to contend with the top five. And the problem with this team is that I just don't know how Rudy Gobert and Cat are going to fit on the floor together. I understand that Cat is probably the best floor spacing big that we've ever seen. However, that still does not deny the fact that he still does want to operate inside the arc at sometimes, and that could really just hamper Rudy's floor spacing. And I just don't think that this could be like the ceiling that we think that they are going to be. The Phoenix Suns. Now, this is a last honorable mention, and I know what you guys are going to say. Nehemiah, why is this team this slow? I'm sorry, but a lot of the problems with this team are just going to get worse with time. DeAndre Ayton, I don't think he's taking the really big step that a lot of us wanted him to do, so I'm just not really that high on his game. Chris Paul, he's getting another year of age. Devin Booker, I think that this team is still going to be solid. Devin Booker's just, Devin Booker. We all know that. However, the problem with this team is that they just haven't had a really major move. If this team had maybe Rudy Gobert instead of DeAndre Ayton, I think that they would probably be like 2-3. But I just don't really expect much from this team. During a very long playoff season or series, excuse me, this team will definitely slow down once you start picking apart the ball handlers. Once you start picking apart Chris Paul, the whole offense falls. We've seen it in the Milwaukee series, and we've seen it in the Boston series, the Dallas Mavericks series. I don't know why I said Boston, but once you stifle Chris Paul and or Devin Booker, that's cheese. Because I remember that Chris Paul was scoring 8 points and like 4 assists in the Mavericks series after the first 2 games. It was awful. So I think that the rest of the teams here, I just think that they have a lot more potential. I think that the ceiling for the Suns is just not good enough, and I don't think that the floor is that high either. So let's get into my top five. So the fifth one is going to be the New Orleans Pelicans. Now, I know what you guys are going to say. Nehemiah, this team hasn't proved anything. Why are you putting... Shut up. I'm sorry. This team, I don't care if they haven't proved anything, bro. I know they have Zion Williamson. Where is he? Oh, am I blind? Oh, there he is. My fault. They have Zion Williamson, Brandon Ingram, CJ McCollum, and they have Jonas Valanciunas. That's all I need, honestly. Larry Nance Jr. is a really solid defender. And Jose Alvarado, they got what they need, bro. They're already the 8th seed through the play-in. However, I think a big problem with considering that is that they had a really bad record, but after their 1-12 start, I believe, they were essentially a 500 team. So I think that that's really solid. They even pushed the Phoenix Suns to a couple of games. So let's just see what these guys are rocking with. And by the way, top 12 player, well, not 12. let me say 15, a top 15 player has yet to play on this team. If this team meshes well at all, it's wraps. Like some of these teams are just gonna get bounced out. I'm sorry. You guys are gonna see that this team is gonna be a force to be reckoned with. And honestly, a lot of these teams up here, Grizzlies, Denver, Golden State, even the Clippers, they will not match up well against Zion Williamson. And I want y'all to know they will get bodied. And that team could maybe even make the Western Conference Finals, maybe even the finals. I don't know, but I just hope that that team has a really good ceiling. So number 4 is going to be the Memphis Grizzlies, only because I don't know how much of a leap that all these guys are going to take. If Jaren Jackson Jr. just doesn't foul, this team is like one, bro. Like it's crazy how good he is on defense. That he's really just his own worst enemy. Ja Morant. I want you guys to see the reason why I'm so high on this team. I don't care. So Ja Morant is pretty much the really big offensive engine on this team, and as we see in the Warriors series, look how much points he's averaging, 38. Look at the efficiency, 50, 43, 85. Come on, man, come on. And I understand. This team didn't really have the best matchup against Ja Morant, the Golden State Warriors, but even then, I just don't think that the amount of teams in the West have that good of a matchup. They really just struggle against like really tall, lengthy defenders, and the Minnesota Timberwolves are one. I would say the Clippers are another, Lakers are another, but they're going to be ass. Let's be real. The Phoenix Suns, I don't think that they're going to be like that much of an issue. Yeah, it's pretty much it. Maybe even the Golden State Warriors, but that's actually no. I don't think it's going to be the Golden State Warriors again. We just seen Ja Morant average 38 on them boys' heads, bro. Like it's going to be tough. Maybe even Denver. That's it. Maybe even Dallas. That's it. I just don't think that any team is going to stop Ja Morant from going to the rim. And if they can, bro, then shit. They won the series. But if not, they still have a guy like, where is he? They have a guy like Zaire Williamson or Williams, excuse me. Really good player. And I do think that he's gonna really grow again this year because they traded away a couple pieces. I think DeAnthony Melton they traded away, so I think that he's gonna have a little more room to grow. Desmond Bane, we all know about Desmond Bane. He essentially took the Michael Porter Jr. kind of route where he really just developed a lot of his game into like being a 3D player, and he's just one of the best players at being that. So if he could improve to be an all-star again, this team's sliding up to 1, bro. Now Denver is probably the hardest team to rank out of every team I've talked about so far, only because of one thing. I just don't know what this team is going to look like. However, I know when they look good, they're going to look good. Let me pull it up. Not Michael Porter Jr. Jamal Murray. So I heard a couple of people talk about, Bubble Murray isn't real, blah 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 blah. I don't care. Look at this. I think it's over here. So 24 points, 50, 47, 95. Like, bro, come on, bro. This is 24 games too. Come on, man. This is going to be one of the best offensives of all time. Once Aaron Gordon was playing too, it was around this time. It was around this time frame. They were like 5-1 or some shit like that. They were like really good. They were not losing games. So I really do expect that this team is going to be like an offensive powerhouse. They have Bruce Brown again, a really solid defender. They just have a lot of defenders on the team actually. Aaron Gordon, Bruce Brown. I don't like him. I don't like DeAndre Ayton on this team, but not a solid defender. But Bones Holland is really good. There's someone I'm looking for. Oh wait, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. He's on this team. Yeah, he's right there. So I just think that this team just have like a lot of solid defenders, a lot of wings that they could just put out there. However, I think that this team really just rides on how good Jamal Murray and Michael Porter could be. I think that if that's the case, they're both as good as we saw them last time, if not a little bit better. Boom, they're jumping. They're jumping, like honestly. So that's just me though. I do understand why someone would have the Denver Nuggets lower. I just don't think that they have the consistency that I wanted to see right before all those guys got injured. So I think that's a very, very valid excuse. So I just want to leave it there. Golden State Warriors. I don't want to really talk about these guys because we all seen what's gonna happen. Like, there's a good chance that they dub everyone again. Honestly, the only problem that I have with this team though is that a lot of the teams that matched up well with this team didn't really play against them. The only team that I would say that matched up like the best with them would be the Grizzlies, but the Grizzlies lost that series for a multitude of reasons. One, they weren't the most experienced team, and I think that even going into this year, if they do have like a little bit more experience, they could have just bounced out the Warriors. But I think the biggest reason why this team just didn't really struggle that much is because they just didn't have the matchups that they really. But at least for my number one, I think that this team just matches up way too well against the Golden State Warriors in a 5 game series or in a 7 game series. Not only that, but we don't know what Wiseman's going to look like. Jonathan Kaminga, we don't know if he's going to be playing that much minutes. They did lose Gary Payne II. They did lose another key role player. I forgot his name, but I know that they lost Juan Toscano Anderson. That's his name. That wasn't the person I was talking about, but yeah. Dante DiVincenzo could be good. I just don't expect him to be. Let me just look at his stats last year because I'm sick of I'm sick of pretending. This dude was ass last year. Let's just look at it. 35, 34. Come on, man. Come on, man. But Kevon Looney was actually really good in the playoff run. So I don't, even if James Wiseman isn't the best, they can still just use Kevon Looney. But then again, that just comes with the size difference. So I think that Kevon Looney, Kaminga, and Moody are probably just gonna be what like separates his team from the other teams. Also, depending on how good A Wiggins is. If A Wiggins is still as good as he was last year, I think that they could still just really contend even with the likes of a bigger team like Milwaukee, a bigger team like Philadelphia, a bigger team. So, yeah. Yeah, Jordan Poole actually did surprise me in the finals because he was actually putting up really good performances in the later games because I thought he was gonna get walled out. But my number one gonna be the Clippers for right now. While I do understand that this team, we don't know what Kawhi's gonna look like. Everything about this roster has just meshed well compared to what they were in 2020. I know what someone's gonna say about 2020 is that we did hype up their bench, we did hype up everything about them. However, in my humble opinion, I don't think that this team is anywhere close to the amount of dysfunction that the 2020 roster had. Again, they have. I think Kawhi Leonard and Paul George have probably more defined roles now, so we don't really need to talk about them. However, they got rid of Lou Williams. They got rid of Montrezl Harrell. Two guys who kind of just didn't fit well with these guys only because they were really shot creators. They were really positive defenders, which we have right now. Robert Covington, of course. Marcus Morris is fine on that end. Nicholas Batum, they still managed to snag him, which is really great. Terrence Mann is a really good wing defender. And, of course, these two. Even if Kawhi Leonard isn't as good as he was after the ACL injury, I don't doubt that he's still going to be a positive defender on that end. They still have Zubac in case they want to run big. They just have so much versatile pieces that it's really just hard for me to compare this to the 2020 roster. The 2020 roster, we could just look at it right now. It was not nearly as is for versatile. So looking at, is this the right one? No, it's not. Wait, yeah, no, it's not. So looking at this roster, it's literally just a bunch of shot creators, shot creator, shot creator, and then shot creator, and shot creator. Like, I don't think that they suffer from that problem now. They have playmaking again with John Wall. Paul George has developed into more of a playmaker. Reggie Jackson could be a solid playmaker too. So I just think that this team just has a lot more versatility going for them this year. I think that this team has a lot more defensive impact going into this year. And I just think that this team just overall has the best bench in the NBA. I think that they have the best just combination of talent in the NBA. I think that this team is just going to win the finals, at least going forward. I think it's either between them or Boston, or at least like some of the teams that I mentioned so far. So yeah, that's it for me. It's your boy Nehemiah, aka Neil, and I hope you guys are having a good one. And remember to leave y'all top 5 in the comments too. So yeah.